Afternoon, or what's going? Good afternoon. Actually, I was going a bit good morning Vietnam there, wasn't I? Good morning to another Kerfuffle showcase. Delighted to have the Tango Pig himself on today, Mr. Piggott. Hello, how are you? Adam Piggott, OpenBrix. Are you well?
I'm very well, thank you.
We're just tasty like me. You've got that vitamin D going on with you.
It's been a nice summer. We can't complain. But yeah, no, it's I had my first trip into London yesterday from since lockdown, and that was an experience.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it?
I was marshalled every 20-30 meters over London Bridge concourse, size of two rugby pitches. Maybe 2 people on it, but probably 50 marshals telling me where to go and where I couldn't go.
They always tell me where to go. They're normally quite good at getting me out of the city rather than getting me in. The days of old, they always used to chase the Northerners out of London, didn't they? Good stuff. Well, look, obviously you're an old hand at this because you've obviously already kerfuffled it up on our Challenger portal one where you were magnificent, even if I say so myself. We were obviously really, really keen to hear about you, and obviously you tempted me, you teased me with obviously all the blockchain stuff, which you know I'm a sucker for anyway. And I was hoping over the course of the next few minutes talking to yourself, we can elaborate on some of that to really get to the bottom of what OpenBrix is about. I think the first thing to talk about, though, isn't it, Adam, is that actually you've got a new bit of functionality, a fairly major bit going live in terms of the MLS style. For those people, just bearing in mind, not everyone will straight away know what that is. Could you just give a bit of context and then talk about what you're doing?
Okay, sure. Perhaps if I'm only going to mention it once because I get bored of it. But the reason why the MLS why I believe it's going to work is it's been designed by some UK agents headed up by David Thomas at Liberty Gate. He's been very helpful. But we've also been in consultation with agents in Europe and in America and Canada. So we've seen what won't work, and the UK agents we perform our estate agency in a very different way. And their model of an MLS or another country's model of an MLS just simply would not work. And it has been tried and failed fantastically. We believe that this will work because of, I'm going to say it just the once, because of the blockchain. So if you can sort of say, I mean, what effectively OpenBrix is, we're not just a portal. A portal is just one aspect of currently 4 products that we have. It's a multi-featured, democratized and decentralized, that's a key word. It's a decentralized platform that allows people within the industry to connect securely and transact transparently together. It's like a giant WhatsApp group. So that is the power of the blockchain. And that's really where it starts and stops. With the blockchain comes in when we refer to the IDs that everyone have, whether it be the property, the agent branch, the individual hub seller, the end consumer, whether it be a tenant or a buyer, and of course our partners. All of them have unique IDs. Yeah, and it's the platform that allows us to connect those people. So the MLS came about, and the MLS stands for multi-listing service, and effectively it's allowing agents to work together, because there's one fairly shocking statistic out there, which actually I only came across about 5 weeks ago when we were in development of the MLS. And that is that only 40% of properties are sold by the initial agent.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it?
60% going on to the next appointed agent, often because there's been a price reduction. We all compete with each other. Agents compete with each other to get the highest, to quote an honest figure, but the high as you can get it.
Yeah.
And often it takes that price reduction and a fresh marketing approach to then sell the property. So what we're able to do is allow agents to perhaps get an instruction, quote in the living room that, this product is worth more than multi-agency is, certainly. So I'm hoping agents don't go and put their 1% or 1.25% or small fixed price commissions onto the MLS. I'm really hoping agents see this as an opportunity to go to their vendors and say, look, thank you for getting me over. I've sold you my wares, and what we do is what my agency does. But you've got a choice. You can either give it to me on my own, and I believe I'm the agent to do it. However, we have another product called the MLS, which means that I can potentially market your property to every agent in the UK who's on the MLS. Every agent.
How receptive do you think the British public are going to be to this? Have you been able to test the water? Famously, there have been groups like Team on the South Coast, largely, haven't they, for years, which kind of doing that. Lonres obviously has a kind of half commission basis in central London there. Is it just that actually people don't know that this is going on to a large degree, or are there different facets of those different systems that meant it hasn't taken off en masse?
I think it's a mixture of all of those, actually. I mean, first of all, the public aren't aware about it. We, in this country, we're of the opinion, if you have a property you want to buy or property you want to sell, you go to an estate agent. Yeah. Where you see it, of course, whether you see it on which portal is another topic. But effectively, I think when a buyer realizes that they can go into an agency who's on the MLS, and if that agent only has a dozen instructions or however many instructions, doesn't have the property that person, that buyer wants, then why let them go? If they're potentially the good buyers, get them to sit down, give them a cup of coffee, and then say, let me check on the MLS. And you go and see the properties that some of your competitors may have, and you might be on a network with some, because every agent can select their own network, whether it be the agent next door, eight agents in the high street, or all of the Isle of Wight, or an agency with 30 or 40 branches can literally link up together for a much slicker approach. But you can start actively now, for the first time in the UK, work for a buyer, for the better good, for the end consumer benefit. So I believe words needs to get out. We clearly need the support of the agents, because if we don't get the stock on there, it's going to go absolutely nowhere. But we're focusing on some key areas. We don't want to try and spread a piece of toast with a tiny thin bit of butter. We've got to do bits and manage this carefully, which is part of our plan. But it's interesting, because we've also had because we've been discussing this with agents overseas, a lot of them are saying, wow, that means can we go on it and we can start sending buyers to the UK to see properties we've shown them, properties they've claimed, and we say yes. So what's different about the way we're doing it, the UK MLS, is that the agent has the primary agent has full control and can choose, if you like, from three options, which we call the whole MLS, which is basically a blanket bomb. You're losing an instruction in a week's time. You're waving the white flag. You don't want to lose it, and you stick it on to basically any agent in the UK. It's a bit of a blanket bomb approach, but may work for some properties or some agents in some circumstances. But the other one, which we like, is the network MLS, which when an agent goes in and sets up their MLS page, they get to choose which agents, and they can do it over a period of time, but they can choose their own network. And those networks can overlap from agent to agent. But ultimately, if you only want to do business with certain agents, you can choose them. You can declare what commission, what percentage of the sale price that each individual agent can have, or you can set up, I'll give you 30% of whatever I've got, or I'm going to give you 0.75% of the sale value to the whole of the MLS. But you can also do it individually. So if you've got a group of 6 agents and you particularly like one of them is your brother, you might, I'll do you 50%, but the others are on 35%. So it's basically, and the same with the marketing rights. It's all done at a granular level, really simple. And when an agent claims the property, he accepts the terms, and a smart contract is effectively and legally created.
That's really interesting, that element, because one of the issues and limitations I've known in the past of some of those other half commission MLS style arrangements has been that actually you haven't been able to pick those agents, and there was a lot of resentment from some of the agents that there was the perception of what's called bottom feeders, who would literally just never ever list any properties. They would just jump on top of everyone else, and there was no way to actually try and sort of manage that or limit it. So I think that's a really key point there, is you can build up those, if you are, if you're, let's say you're in a close network of RAN agents or guild agents, people that are best in class, professing to have, to want to do best practice, team up with agents of a similar mindset, and you're going to be then bigger than the sum of the parts, aren't you?
It's interesting. You got entities like I'm a big fan of the Federation of Independent Agents. Graham,
very good,
good guy, and this is ideal for the feeder agents. If they want to react and interact, what better place than to set up their own network? Graham could do that, and then every agent on it can interact and share together. What we don't do, like there's hundreds of MLSs out there in the world. Some of them take a portion of the commission. Some of them charge very high fees. Because we're controlled by that B word thing, that means every agent on OpenBrix forms the community. So if we were to turn around and say, we're really onto something now, let's put the prices up, well, we can't. So we've decided, rather than taking a share of commission, we're just going to charge a monthly subscription of £55. That's an upgrade from the joining fee of £75. Yep. They can use it, not use it, come off, join it, whatever. But I believe, I was an agent for 28 years, as you know, and I've based everything we've done on OpenBrix. I've really based it of what would I need, and our partnership programs, for example, should easily replace the tenant fee ban, because that hurt agents. I mean, that would have absolutely nobbled my business in a big way.
Well, it famously stopped a huge amount of the mergers and acquisitions activity that was going on, didn't it? Dead overnight, really.
Yeah, it did. It really did. So everything we do, we based on the agents, and that's why we give them the control. So it'll be all the partnerships. It's all based on the agent's choice of which partners they want to have. So they'll go on when they set up their page. This is all part of the initial subscription, by the way, the £75. They get access to these extra revenue streams, and they can choose, like from an app store, which products they want. If they want to go into one tenant entity that's doing, I don't know, utility switchings, but there's one that gives a slightly better commission service, a better payment, and perhaps a better option from another brand, they can put both on their dashboard, but they can choose to activate which products at a granular level. So the end consumer that they eventually pair to that property will only see what that agent has chosen as the products they want to sell.
I understand. Okay, that's interesting.
We don't take a cut of that commission, I should add.
Yeah. And let's talk through the B word, the blockchain element. It was interesting. You mentioned it again earlier. And looking at your website, you do make that analogy with see it as a big WhatsApp group, which I really like. I really get that concept. Do you want to just talk us through that element of it, just in terms of what that means to you?
Sure. Well, it means that let's do it at a micro level. So an OpenBrix agent on the community decides to pair an end consumer, let's take a tenant, with that property. That prospective tenant is paired to the property and the agent and those partners. Yeah. So in other words, the way it works through the APIs and the integration is there's a counter on the agent's dashboard where they can just see, hopefully, money ticking up and going up and up and up as when each end user buys the product. So because I refer to it as a WhatsApp group, if there were 5 of us on a WhatsApp group, and I said, look, I'm having a drink at the pub at 6 o'clock tonight, guys, you want to come round? I couldn't not let you know about it unless you came off that WhatsApp group. But because I'm the administrator, I get to choose that. So being the agent, it's that
transparency element there again, isn't it? That really, and I haven't seen an example of this yet where transparency doesn't help a marketplace.
Yeah, it really does. And that's why we've decided to be very upfront and open about our fees. You know, at the moment, and hopefully for a good period of time, our portal will be free to list. And what I want to really eventually do is replace our £75 a month subscription, which gives you access to put all of your end consumers, your current tenancy portfolio, all your managed properties, you can put them all on there. All you then do is let your partner self do you. You don't have to do anything. You don't need their marketing material. You don't need their training, because they will do it for you, and you get the full commission. But what we've tried to do with the whole transparency thing is I want to replace that £75 a month with just £1 per upload of an available property that an agent decides to put on. And I think that's a really fair model. We can't do that straight away because we you know, we're a business. We need that. We need to get retraction. But as soon as we start getting the numbers, we're going to start reducing that and then bringing in slowly, when the time is right, we'll bring in the £1 per upload.
Yeah, it strikes me as really equitable. You know, it's based on transactions, isn't it? Based on the most common currency we've got, which is ultimately the listings, isn't it? So, yeah, that's interesting. And talk us through the, you know, again, that element there. I mean, blockchain it gives you the ability to enable it, but you don't have to put it into practice in the way that you have to allow your members control over that pricing information. You've made that decision, haven't you, that ultimately you are owned by your members. So just talk us through that. That's a really important, it seems to be, you know, talking to you as we have a few times now, seeing the website and everything in there, that you really, and I hate the phrase because it's overused, but democratization of a platform is absolutely installed at your heart of your company.
Well, it's not a question of, you know, we will do this, we promise to do this. I can't take the platform down now. It's not mine. We've got enough agents on there now. Remember, our second agent joined because we have a vote. Yeah, OpenBrix has one vote, but so does every other brand. You know, we cannot collapse it. If I were to turn around and say, guys, I'd like to put my prices up because of A, B, and C, I've got to have a pretty good reason to do it. And if the agents actively, if 51% say no, the platform goes down. They take it down. So in a really humble way, and I like this, the OpenBrix works for the agent. We're the maintenance guys for the agent's portal. We don't dictate. We cannot dictate. And actually, technically, we could be fired. You know, if you guys wanted to get rid of us and say, right, 51%, you're no good anymore, we want someone else, we'd have to go.
I love the idea that you build a business plan where from day 2 you can get yourself sacked. I wouldn't have lasted more than a week in any business.
Well, what that does for us, it really does keep us focused and honest.
I can imagine. Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, it's great. But it's wonderful as well just to actually, you know, lots of companies talk the talk, but just have no intention of delivering anything else. That it's absolutely hard coded into your business root and branch, isn't it? To make sure that that's the case.
It is for technology, and you use the B word more than I have today, Simon. I'm trying.
I always use it without actually knowing what it means, but that's neither here nor there.
But it's that B word that's actually, you don't have to take my word for it. It's a fact. So yeah, I'm really pleased with it. I mean, you know, I've been involved now for 2 years with it. It's been 2 years hard work, and we've got a good team. We've got a good board. We've got.
It's a very. I mean, you know, there's a lot of startups, and some of those, you know, start off at a different scale. But you've got a really heavyweight board, haven't you? Looking at
very sensible people, and as I say, I'm always happy to say I'm definitely the stupid person on the board meeting. I'm the thickest guy there. There's some very, very bright people in there, and it's great for men. It was a badly kept secret until we announced it anyway. But we were absolutely thrilled to get John Hards on because he's probably one of the most respected people in the property industry, and I listen to him. I speak to him most days, and you know, we talk through a lot of things. And he again, it's good to have someone with that much experience.
So for people that don't know Adam, though, so John was National Lettings Director at Countrywide for a number of years, wasn't he? So
yeah, and he's a very, very bright man. And you know, I brought in Andrew Taylor, who worked for me in one of my branches. He was a manager of my flagship office in Surbiton when I had my agency, and he worked for me for 11 or 12 years. even got a higher percentage conversion rate on valuations than I did, which was slightly embarrassing. He's a good guy.
Change it in the CRM software. Don't worry about that.
And yeah, we've got a great marketing guy. James runs our marketing, hugely experienced. And everyone's got their sort of their staff beneath them, so we've got good structure. And of course, the brains behind all of this is Shahad Chowdhury, who was he was advisor to the government and the Treasury and Cabinet on blockchain and AI. He was involved in the Galileo space project. He's a hugely intelligent young man. I say young because he's younger than me, but than most people are. But he's incredibly bright. And it was my meeting with him just over 2.5 years ago. A guy on the board used to be the ex-CCO of Arsenal Football Club, a guy called Tom Fox. Yeah. And he and I went to school together when I was about 8 years old, 8 to 11, I think we overlapped. And he got back in contact with me and said, Pig, because that's the nickname, Pig, could you go and have a meet with this guy? I'm interested in this company. I might want to get involved in it. And I kicked the can down the road for about 3 months, thinking every excuse I could possibly make to not waste my time. And I went with a pretty poor attitude, actually. And I came away from a good 2-hour chat with this young man. And I came away thinking, oh my goodness, this is really special. Yeah. And so on from there. And I then brought the property guys in. And, and it's not all about us. We really have been listening to agents. We weren't going to be doing any of these products 18 months ago. It's the agents who are telling us what they want. So the partnership program, that's agent requests. The MLS is all down to agents. I was thinking of doing community pages because I had a group of agents telling me they wanted that. And then we were working on that. And we started developing. And then when we started to veer off towards the MLS, I had a light bulb moment after we agreed to do it. Well, setting up a community, this is what the MLS does. So we can now bring in local pages, local maps, local restaurants, bars, shops will be able to come into the MLS. That's version 2 of it. But we've got so many things we can do because everyone gets their own ID and it's unique.
How do you retain focus when you've got so many things going on there and the capabilities of the platform? How do you, literally just stay on the right road?
I guess that's been my job. So, I ensure that we don't get sidetracked. And, when you talk to any devs, if you allow devs to talk together, then they come up with these weird ideas and they want to go and do it, often good ideas. So, I've been able to say, guys, let's just do A, B, C, and D. That is what we're focusing on. And we've got deadlines for all of them. All of them will be met. We're beta testing the MLS. At the end of this week, we're starting. Partnerships is under beta already. The actual product, the portal has been under beta since May, and that's stable. We've got a number of agents using it. Yeah. But ultimately, and we're taking registrations now for the MLS, pre-registration. So all that means is that we will, rather than bombarding social media and everybody and the internet with all of our messages, we can literally write and email those people specifically with what we're doing and give them a lot more detail of how it works and when it works. We can send them demos of how to set it up. It's actually very simple.
Right. Okay. And you've spoken a little bit there in terms of the agents do have the ability potentially to monetize elements as well. Could you just elaborate in terms of how they can do that on your platform?
Sure. So as I said, the agent chooses from the open marketplace within the dashboard that they have on OpenBrix. They will be able to choose which products, which whether it be Sky TV, there's one I haven't got an NDA on at the moment, so they can. That's an obvious one. But you've got utility changing packages, financial service products, legal platforms, all sorts of things coming in, and they can choose what products the end consumer and their current managed stock see. That's all they do. That's all the agent has to do is pair them with the property. That's it. Then the partner will get the notification. Will deal directly with the end consumer, all on the platform, and the agent just sees their sort of currency figure just going up.
That point you were talking about before, the currency just ticks over and over.
Okay. They can click on that and see what agents bought, which end users bought what product for which property, and how much commission they're getting. And as I say again, we've done this. We've been very transparent with our fees. We're not taking cuts of kickbacks or anything. We give 100% of the commissions. So therefore, these products are out there, and a lot of agents have an access to these products already. Are they getting the full amount? That's the first question. But even if they are, they're having to do the upselling. They're having to do it. Why not let the actual end? Why not get the partners to do it? It's their business. They're going to do it better than the agent one, and they can do it slickly. But also, once a tenant, say, has moved into a property, who thinks to go back and sell them products? No one does, or very few. I don't know of any agents who do. Well, this will be able to happen. So the end user will get notifications saying, look, there's a new Sky Q box out, or we've got a new package, new channel coming up, or we've got a new form of utility switching brand. Do you want to be notified? And every time an end user takes a product, the agent just gets the commission.
So there's been a number of, obviously, certainly in the CRM space, for a number of years, they had the ability to almost have their own, sort of client portals. So you might have a vendor portal, an applicant portal, landlord portal, tenant portal there. Things like the tenant portal and the landlord portal were more popular, more successful, because obviously there's an ongoing relationship there over a period of time. So people will log in and get much more familiar with it as they would do, sort of an online banking. It becomes much harder in the kind of on the sales side, doesn't it, where it might be a vendor who, yes, they might log in and they might see what viewings have taken place, the feedback that's gone on, but it is only for a relatively short period of time whilst they are looking to sell or buy their home. Is OpenBrix's vision to try and make that a much more permanent relationship, so they genuinely, a person gets used to logging into OpenBrix and that's essentially the hub for them for all time, or is it still just a semi-transactional relationship?
No, look, first of all, we've made a decision right from when I got on board with OpenBrix, is that who do we service? Are we serving the vendor? Are we serving the end users? Are we serving the agents? And we've decided to serve the agents. That's who we work for. So it'll be up to the agents. If the agents want us to bring in something to share with their clients, absolutely, we will do that. We could do that in a heartbeat. Once we've got the platform built, which we have, adding in another form of ID, another entity, if you like, whether it be vendors or landlords, then absolutely that can be put in. It's a couple of days. So we've got some cool products for tenants at the moment, because tenants get a bit of a bum deal. Firstly, they get a sovereign ID, and people will say, "What's that?" Well, your passport is owned by the government, like your driving license is, so it's DVLC. But and rightly so, you could argue. But your digital ID, of course, isn't owned by the government, and it's not owned by you. It's owned by, whether you've got a BT email, it's BT. If it's Google, it's owned by Google. No one owns their digital ID. What we've done is we're allowing tenants to actually own their sovereign ID. So when they go through the right to rent process, we're saying to agents, get them to do it on OpenBrix, because A, it's free, but B, that means then you can do the pairing in an instant, because they then confirm back to you their right to rent verification. You've got their ID then. I mean, their OpenBrix ID, which is a non-hackable code, I should say. But the agents don't get that code. They get a 6-digit thing that gives them the access for the end user to share at a granular level what aspects of their ID they might want to share, whether it be that they actually do want to share their passport and their driving license and their utility bill, or it could be contract for employment that can be shared, mortgage in principle for buyers. All sorts of things can be shared. But the point is that it's owned on the end user's own device. That's where it's owned, and we don't own it. We can't get access to it. So again, we like giving the end user that control.
Thank you very much for joining us once again on here, Adam, and good luck and best of luck with it.
Thank you, and thanks guys for the support and the opportunity. Really appreciate it out there, and we're very grateful to be on the podcast.
No worries at all. Great talking to you.